council for almost a year. When Judd moved up to his more august position, I took his seat on the council. I've lived in Gaithersburg now for 26 years. Before I moved to Gaithersburg, I was a high-tech entrepreneur and part of fast-growing companies. I was with Commodore and Atari, for those of you old enough to remember when those companies were actually thriving and successful. I moved here from Silicon Valley to work for the Genie online service, which GE ran in Rockville. And then I became an entrepreneur. I started my own company with a partner in the St. Louis area in 1993, made the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing small businesses in 1998, I think it was, somewhere in the dot-com craziness. And had a thriving business which we finally sold to some Europeans a few years ago. So I've been involved with venture capital. I've been involved in growing businesses. At Commodore in the last year I was involved in a shrinking business which was much less fun. One of the things that I'm looking at in this region, especially during the dot-com days when they were starting to talk about us being Silicon Valley East, is we're not Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley has a wonderful set of companies and a wonderful set of venture capitalists and a wonderful set of educational institutions, and they all eat in the same restaurants and talk to each other very regularly. Here we have a lot of those same assets, but we can't get people in the same room often enough, and we really need to do that in order to build a thriving community. I attended a 2-day session at AstraZeneca along with the BioHealth Innovation Group to talk about how to turn this into a much bigger biotech corridor. And it was the same thing. I actually had 2 different panels with 10 different venture capital firms in the room. But we have to have those conversations not on an annual conference basis, but on an ongoing basis and pull it all together in order to build that. I also think we need to do the same thing on the software side of the world, where we build that same kind of organization and we face the fact that the government contracting business is likely to not be growing at the kind of rate that it was before, and make sure that all those software programmers and companies with expertise find more commercial uses for their technologies. I've talked to the folks at the Economic Development Group at the county for the last several years. It's been a little bit frustrating, but now they're remaking that group and hopefully we can work more closely with them. I've been a member of the city's Economic Development Committee for the last 3 years. And one of the things that I found was that they come to us with some projects, like if you saw there's some construction across the road at Washingtonian North. Those 3 pads were set up to be office buildings, and there wasn't a customer to build an office building in today's environment. So they came to us and said, we have 2 developers. One wants to build a beautiful apartment building and another developer wants to build a beautiful gym with a hair salon and daycare and acrobats and things, I don't know what. And we looked at the plans and we met with the developers and we thought, wow, this is all great. Do we need another gym? There's a really nice gym right over there. And do we need another apartment building? We seem to have a lot of apartment buildings in this town. So at the end of the day, we said, sure, go ahead, build these. These are nice plans, and it's better to have something than nothing. But I wondered what was the context for all this. And so one of the things that I promised when I joined the council, and one of the things that after we get into the new year we're going to move forward with, is let's bring everybody together. Let's bring the business community together and the developers and the residents and the schools and the nonprofits and figure out what our strategy is in the long range for Gaithersburg. We have an annual strategic plan, but I don't think it's aspirational or long range enough. You know, it says we'll have nice parks and nice streets and things like that. Well, sure we will. Of course, everybody wants that. But what does Gaithersburg want to be in 25 years? How are we going to be different than Rockville? How are we going to be different than Frederick? What are our strengths? We've got NIST, we've got a biotech corridor. How can we play to those strengths? How can we guide the developers and say, we want more projects like this? And if you come to us with another mediocre apartment building, we're not really that excited by it. What kind of housing do we need for the kind of jobs that we want to build in? How do we attract more shopping in the days of Amazon.com and other internet shopping when local retail is much more hard-pressed? Do we want to go with more density? To go to Rob's point about growth for growth's sake, when I knock on doors, there are a lot of people out there who say, no more growth. And when you dig in and find out what's their issue with growth, their issue with growth is because when there's more growth, the roads get crowded, the schools get crowded. The problem isn't growth, the problem is that we're not keeping up with the infrastructure around here. So in the last year, I've been a member of the Regional Transportation Planning Board at the Council of Governments, which allocates all of the money from the federal government and the states to do all the transportation projects, the roads, the transit, whatever. And we saw last month the draft of the latest revision of that plan, and in 25 years, traffic congestion only gets 72% worse in this region. So yesterday, I got to vote no on that plan. The plan has to pass or the federal government doesn't write the check, so it passed, but there were 11 no votes because a lot of us are starting to get fed up. The issue is the plan is based on the amount of money that they think is going to come. The problem is you can't surrender and say, well, if that's all the money we have, we're not going to build any new roads and we're going to live with ridiculous congestion. I think we need to go back to wherever and say you need to either find more money or reallocate money. You need to build roads, you need to build schools, we need to build the necessary infrastructure because we built a great region and people want to live here, people want to have businesses here. We have to actually be able to get around here and be able to educate our kids here as well. So that's what I'm working on. I hope for your support and I'm happy to talk some more. Thank you.